And in Asia, major markets made gains by market close today following overnight advances on Wall Street as concerns over a possible global economic slowdown eased. The Shanghai Composite was up 0.2% to close at 3,176.82, while the Shenzhen Composite rose 0.11%. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index bounced back slightly to rise 0.11%. The Nikkei 225 in Japan traded nearly flat, while the Topix Index was down 0.25%. In South Korea, the Kospi Index rose 0.41%. Australia's benchmark ASX 200 was up 0.41%. The Reserve Bank of Australia kept its policy cash rate unchanged at 1.50% in line with market expectations. And the U.S. stock futures were under pressure today, despite data from the U.S. and China showing a rebound in manufacturing activity. As of 3:15 a.m. Eastern Time, Dow futures traded 32 points lower, indicating a lower open of 40 points, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq index were up February 26. In other data news, the U.S. durable goods report is due to be released at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. On the corporate front, Walgreens Boots Alliance is due to report earnings. And away from the equities market here in Africa, standoff investors who were swung the company have agreed to extend the suspension of litigation by 6 weeks, allowing the crisis-hit retailer time to proceed with its investigations and restructuring. Standoff said the legal proceedings, which were suspended in October last year, would be further suspended until May 15, 2019. The lawsuit brought in the Netherlands was aimed at compensating investors for the more than 14 billion euros wiped off Standoff's market value ever since the retailer uncovered accounting irregularities last year. The lawsuit was brought by a collective group known as VEB European Investor Standoff. It claimed that certain financial statements, prospectus and press releases issued by the company were incorrect and misleading. And a development bank set up by the BRICS Group of Emerging Economies has approved around $790 million of loans for 3 projects in South Africa, with over half that amount going to power company Eskom. Eskom is battling for its survival after a decade of steep financial decline, during which its costs soared and electricity sales stagnated. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has promised a 69 billion rand bailout for Eskom over the next 3 years and says the company will be split into 3 to make it more efficient, but the cash-strapped utility is still hunting for more money to shore up its finances. And to domestic commodities markets now. Today we are looking at eggs. Eggs are a major source of protein and widely consumed for various purposes, ranging from being eaten as a meal to being used in the preparation of beauty products. The Poultry Association of Nigeria has stated that Nigeria would record an annual revenue of 620 billion naira, a daily revenue of 1.7 billion naira, if 50% of its population consumes at least an egg per day for 1 year. Anyway, Desola Simoni, one of the research analysts from Financial Derivatives, joins me now on the show to tell us more about eggs. Hello, Desola. I guess you eat eggs a lot.
Hi, Gigi. Yes, I do. About 4 a week.
Well, Desola, if Nigeria records an annual revenue of 620 billion naira and a daily revenue of 1.7 billion naira, just by 50% of its population consuming at least an egg per day for 1 year, what will be the implications of this for the economy?
Thank you for that question, Chimezie. Potentially, if we live, in a perfect world where 50% of Nigerians consume 1 egg per day for a year, then potentially it's first of all positive for the poultry farmers. They would have more revenue. They'll be able to pay salaries to their workers, who will then be able to, purchase other goods and services. Potentially, it could boost aggregate demand. It could also, increase tax revenue for the government. However, we do not live in a perfect world. In reality, this is not the case. I'm not aware of any official statistics about egg consumption in Nigeria, but anecdotal evidence from the Poultry Association of Nigeria suggests that an average Nigerian consumes 70 eggs per annum. Now, we bring that to a weekly basis is about 1 egg per week, and one factor that is causing this is the high level of poverty in the land. As at the last count, I think about 88 million Nigerians live below $2 a day. Another reason for it could be unemployment. Unemployed people do not have disposable income to purchase goods and services, including egg, and that is also affecting the demand for eggs.
Now, eggs might be healthy, but then there's an issue of cholesterol, talking about the unhealthy side of it. Now, don't you think this also has its own implications for perhaps demand and maybe pricing?
So I've come across these studies, right? There are countless studies about the effect of, egg consumption on different health outcomes. For instance, some studies show that, consuming eggs, increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases or stroke. Some other studies show that, consuming egg reduces the risk of getting breast cancer. So there are different studies, I think different methodologies, different cohorts, all those things affect their results. But taking away the health issues, right? I think moderation is key. A Greek philosopher by the name Heraclitus said, the most pleasant things can become the most unpleasant if moderation does not prevail. Now, to the economics of it, I don't think that the health risk or the health concerns would affect the demand. Think about it. Coke, for instance. Since I was born, I've heard that, a bottle of Coke has about 10 cubes of sugar. It increases the risk of diabetes and things like that. But till today, Coke is the most popular soft drink in the world. The demand for Coke is soaring. Think about it also, cigarettes. Every cigarette advert on the pack of every cigarette, it's written there that, Federal Ministry of Health wants that smokers are liable to die young. But every day, people still buy Benson and Aegis, people still buy Rothman. So there's all those, despite the health risk, there's still huge demand for it. So I do not think the health concerns about egg would affect the demand or the price of it.
Well, I guess we'll go by your word, moderation. That should be the key answer there. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break, and when we return, Africa Development Bank launches the West Africa Economic Outlook. Just stay with us.